And I am live, right? I am live. And does YouTube know? Yes, YouTube knows that I'm live, and that is cool. Teamworks to attach, teamworks attach, and the target is going to be CP for competitive programming. Okay, yeah, because that is their flow because I did a few things. And yep, things seem stable. I can simply begin. Like this tomorrow. Today we will continue solving CP31, and today we can begin with 900 level questions. And yep, was I would be able to do this if I was paying a bit more attention, but which I'm not doing, which is pretty bad. Now chemistry, and at least for today my target is to do five questions, or whichever happens first. There are complete five questions, or I stream till three for like 2.5 hours. That is the thing. Now I'll simply begin chemistry, and which folder I am in 800. Go back to 900 ls new m, and this you are given a string s of length n, okay, consisting of lowercase Latin letters and an integer k. Okay, I have a string of length n and of lowercase Latin characters and an integer k. You need to check if it is possible to remove exactly k characters from the string s in such a way that the remaining characters can be rearranged to form a palindrome. Note that you can reorder the remaining characters in any way. A palindrome is a string that reads the same forward and backward. For example, these strings, right, read same forward and backward palindromes, while the strings Codeforces reality are not. Input each input, okay, that is D. The first line of each test case contains two integers, first and the second is K. The length of the string is, and the characters to be deleted, and I have to output yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. That is cool, and I will think of the edge cases on my own instead of going straight to the solution. Right, a bit of patience while learning so that I can develop offload it later to my subconscious and make it more automatic. Boilerplate code, I will have an integer n and an integer k, right? C in n and k, and then string will be called a, and then p in a. Now I have a string, and okay, to make a palindrome I need to first figure out, right, so I have to see are there characters in the string whose mm, there are either odd or even number of them. And okay, odd or even makes sense. What would be the case when I cannot make a palindrome? I think I should be able to make a palindrome in every case except the case in which, let's say, after removing k, what I have, right, if I have, after removing k, if I have two characters which appear odd number of times, right? After removing k, if I have at least two characters which appear an odd number of times, and in which case I won't be able to distribute them equally on both the sides to make it a palindrome, and that would only, right, if I have even number of elements, then we are amazing and good to go. But if I have odd number, and this would also depend on what the value of k and n is, right? Of k and n is, I'm trying to think. Right, I will not go to the examples. First, I have to figure it out on my own what the edge cases could be. So first, my algorithm is I will go through this and count. Either there are elements which appear which have a parity of even, and elements which characters which have a of parity of odd, and the parity is, I'm considering the parity of their frequency, right? So if I have even number, and even if when, right, if the original thing that I have, that is n, the string a, if that string is a palindrome, either there are letters with parity of their frequency odd or even. If in the starting, if I have at least two elements with the parity of their frequency odd, then it is not a palindrome. But if their parity of their frequency is even for all, or at least, or at most odd for only one character, then we are good to go, then it is a palindrome. And to remove k, right, to remove k, if I have a odd parity, then I can remove elements from the odd number of one element from the odd one, and then the remaining elements from the remaining even ones, then we are good to go in that case. But if the original one is not even, then I would have to remove, I can remove, well, one element, right? If k is even, then is there a way, if k is even and I have the original one is not a palindrome, then in that case I don't think I can make it odd. Again, yeah, I think I should be able to make it even. Right, right. So no matter the value of k, I should be able to make it even, but the edge cases would be, I would have to consider what the edge cases are in this. Shit. Let me look here. 1 and 0, I cannot remove anything, that is cool. 0, this is unknown. And why is this unknown? Because k is 0, right? If k is 1, I think I should be able to do things. Yes, in this it is yes. In this it is yes. If k is 1, I can just remove a, and here I have one character with parity odd and two characters with parity even. And since k is 1, I can match that, right? That is cool. So n and k also have to be things. Okay, I do not actually care about the characters whose parity is even, the parity of their frequency is even. In this, I have three characters whose parity is odd, and right, and I have k equal to 2. So I think that we are good to go in this one. And in here I have A, B, C and D. A has parity even, we can just remove that. C also has parity even, we can just remove that. We do not care about characters with parity even. So okay, let me just count the characters where parity is odd, and yeah, where parity is odd. And if the number of k that I have is either equal to or only one less, one has to be equal to, uh, like if I have integer o initially equal to 0, and o means the number of elements whose parity is even, whose parity is odd. For char C and A, this is what I'm doing. fuck, I have to first of all count them and then see the loop through their parity. Alright, so I needed to create a set. And how do you create a set? How to, not a set, a set. How to create a value. Wait, instead of a p value where I can just have a vector of integers, and the size of the vector would be vector of integers will be called fric for frequency, and it will have 26 elements, right? There are 26 characters in the English alphabet, I think. And then, and is this, what is this going to do? Fric 26, how to initial, how to give size to vector in C++. How to give size to vector in C++. This is very basic stuff, but I don't know. So vector int, okay, and normal bracket like this, size, create a vector of 5 integers, and creates a vector of, since, oh, okay, size is 5 and each initialized at 10. Okay, create a vector of 26 elements and each initialized at 0. Now fric C minus capital A plus plus, increase that by 1. Now for int I equals 0 and I less than 26 and I plus plus, here we have if fric I remainder 2 equal 0, then we can have O plus plus, and that is what we are going to do through the whole thing. After that, I know the number of elements whose parity is when the parity of their frequency is odd. And now I will see if k, that is my first instinct, if k is greater than or equal to o minus 1, then I think we are good to see out for yes, and then else see out no, right. I think that is cool. If k, since I want to make it even, right? And yes, this will be true. This will, I think this will run. Wrong answer. My bad. Okay, it has to be capital. Yes, and no. CPP, wrong answer. Okay, it is saying no for everything due to some reason. If k is greater than equal to minus 1, is not equal to 0, my bad. That is, the parity is odd. Right. B chemistry dot cpp, that should do it. Not here. Documents. Programming, competitive programming, level 900. B chemistry dot cpp and submit. I think it will work. I think it should. Solution has been submitted. It has been submitted. I think, yeah, I think it is not accepted. It is accepted. That is cool. First try, which, hi, hello, how are you? And yeah, now moving on. Vasilije in Cacak. Cacak city in Serbia, Belgrade. Okay. Now, Ika and Milovan, two fellow competitive programmers, decide to give Vasilije a problem to test his skills. Vasilije is given three positive integers n, k, and x, and he has to determine if he can choose k distinct integers between 1 and n. If he can choose k distinct integers between 1 and n, okay, such that their sum is equal to x. Okay, since Vasilije is now in the weirdest city in Serbia where Aka and Milovan live, Cacak, the problem seems weird to him, so he needs your help with him. Okay, I have nk and x. The sum has to be equal to x, and the numbers are between 1 and k, 1 and n, and total are k. Distinct integers is one thing that I have to keep in mind. Okay, first line T. The only line of each test case contains three integers n, k, and x. N is a pretty big number. K is going to be less than or equal to n, and x is also a pretty big number. The maximum element he can choose, the number between of elements he can choose, and the sum has to reach. Note the sum of n overall test cases may exceed this. Okay. Okay. For output, I just have to output yes or no. Okay, this is a maths problem. Maths problem. Hmm. 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 Not BLB, boilerplate, int. First is n, k, and then x. I guess that is the order. Nkx. Yep. K in n into k into x. And now I have to do some maths. Let's see. And what is the math going to look like? Yesterday we did quite a bit of maths actually, but today let's see. Yep. Um, I have x. Right. X is going to be some. The way that I am visualizing this in my head is sort of. Wait, why is it like this? It's sort of like this. I have a big line, number line, which starts at 1 and at the end it has n here. Let me increase the size of it. Extra large. This also extra large, right? And then I have at some point k. K is the number of elements that I can choose, and I also have x that is going to be equal to the sum of the elements of the k distinct elements that I choose between 1 and n. Okay, the only case when this cannot happen, right? What would be the case in which this cannot happen? Mm, what would be the case in which this cannot happen? Okay, right, I have the formula which is this n into n minus 1, the whole thing divided by 2. This thing is the formula to get the sum of elements between this and this. And now if I put this equal to x, what would happen if I put this equal to x? The value of n that I get would be equal to n square minus n equals 2x, right? And I can only choose k elements. So let's say, right. So my base instinct is to start choosing from the end. I do not actually have to choose, but I just have to figure out, is there something that I can choose? Right. Okay, first what I can do is take the sum of all these elements between 1 and n, then add them together to see what the total sum would be if that total sum right? If that total sum is less than k, I have 10, 10, and 55. In this case, I cannot have this. Why? Because I am going to use three elements, and the sum of the first three is greater than what I want. Right? That would be one case in which the number of elements that I am choosing exceeds x. That would be one case in which I cannot find anything. And the other case would be the sum. Well, first of all, yes, the sum is small, and second of all would be the sum is too big. That is, the sum is too big. What does that mean? Um, K is smaller than n. K, if I take the sum of the first K, okay, let me take the sum of the first K elements, compare that to X. That would be the smallest sum that I can have, and the largest sum that I can have would be the sum of the K elements at the towards the end of the n, right? Like this. This would be the smallest sum that I can have, and around this would be the largest sum that I can have. Now this one, C, V. Yep, this is the largest, and this is the smallest. And if X is somewhere between these two sums, then I think we are good to go. And if X exceeds this one, or either is lower than this one, then we are messed up. That is going to be my first approach, and to get the int smallest and largest, right? And what the sum of the first k elements is going to be smallest, smallest, smallest equals k into k minus 1, and the whole thing divided by 2, right? And largest would be n minus k, n minus weight. Yeah, the largest would be this total sum of n minus very particular sum, n into n minus 1 divided whole divided by 2, and from this whole thing subtract from this whole thing subtract this subtract the sum of n minus k, that is the first n minus k elements, multiply by n minus k minus 1, and this whole thing divided by 2. Now if x is greater than or equal to smallest, and x less than or equal to the largest, right, then we are good to go. Then y, yes, with a new line, and else no. Let's see. Wrong answer. Why? It said yes, no, 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 no. Okay, it only said yes once, which is horrible. I think I'm messing up somewhere. All the time it is just saying yes, no. Mm, I do not have a rating. I have not competed in any competition. So yeah. and I'm just doing 900 level questions, so that is fine. How are these? This is n minus k, right? Since I'm taking k at the end, so this would be n minus k, and that is what I'm doing there. Okay, let's call this FRST and make this FRST equal to n minus k, and instead of FRST, let me just call it F, and here F, F into F minus 1, the whole thing divided by 2. This shouldn't change anything, but why the heck is this happening? Okay, for the first one, my thing is saying no. Okay, N is this, K is this, and the thing is this. So I can take the sum of the last three. What am I actually checking? I'm checking for if x is greater than or equal to the smallest and less than or equal to the largest. Right, and in this, the largest would be, the smallest would be 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6, and the largest would be 5 plus 4 plus 3, which is 12. So, and x is 10, and 12 is greater than 6 and less than, and 10 is greater than 6 and less than 12. Am I taking them in the right order? N, K, and then X. N, K, and X. I am taking them in the right order. Okay, and K, is it K into K plus 1? Let me put the formula. If N equals 3 in this formula, then 3 into 3 minus 1, that is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Wait, that is wrong. Is it this? Now, if N is 3, then 3 into 4, 12 divided by 2 is 6. Yeah, fuck, it is plus. It is supposed to be plus. Now run it, and it says wrong answer in these. Okay, the last two. It says my answer says no, but the actual answer is yes due to some reason. Okay, okay, and even in this one, when it is supposed to be yes in this case, which is this it. How do I see this one? This one. Which case is this? Fuck. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Seventh case. In this case, the actual answer is yes, but my answer seems to be no. Oh, why? And is this the maximum sum that I can have is by taking the last k elements, right? And the smallest sum that I can have is this. Mm, so does n has to be this. Yes, it has to be greater than equal to smallest, and it has to be less than equal to largest. Okay, because it is int. That's why I'm getting messed up. Okay, int t 64t, right? Int 64t, and now I think we are good to go. Int 64t. Yep, we are good to go. It is called C Vasilije. Vasilije. Let's go Vasilije. C Vasilije, submit, and we should be cool. Let's see, it is running and accepted. Cool, right? Amazing. Now, after Vasilije, Jellyfish and Undertale. Okay, Flowery. Floy has planted a bomb in Edward Snowden. The bomb has a timer that is initially set to B. Every second the timer will decrease by 1. When the timer reaches 0, the bomb will explode. Shit. Okay, I have some racist jokes on this. To give the residents of Snowden enough time to evacuate, you will need to delay the bomb from exploding for as long as possible. Shit. The cosmic fool, the holy fool. You have n tools. Each tool can only be used at most once. If you use the ith tool, the timer will decrease by xi. However, if the timer is changed to an integer larger than a, the timer will be set to a due to a bug. Okay, I get this one. This part, you have n tools. Okay, each tool can be used at most once. Okay, at most once. Either I do use it or I don't. Right, and if you use the ith tool, the timer will decrease by xi. Okay, and however, the timer is changed to an integer. If the timer is changed to an integer larger than a, then the timer will be set to a due to a bug. Okay, so a would be the limit below which I cannot bring the timer. More specifically, the following events will happen. D will happen every second in the following order. You will choose some, possibly none of your tools that have not been used before. If you choose the ith tool, the bomber's timer is currently set to C. It's currently set to C. The timer will be changed to the minimum. Okay, wait, I have to increase the time of the timer, not to delay the bomb. Yes, I have to increase the time. It's currently set to C. Then the timer will be changed to the minimum, C plus the current or A. Okay, so it will not go above A. Right. It will not go above A. That makes sense. The timer decreases by 1. If the timer reaches 0, the bomb explodes. Jellyfish now wants to know the maximum time in seconds until the bomb explodes if the tools are used optimally. The maximum time. Okay, each test contains multiple test cases. Okay, the first line of each test case contains 3 integers, A, B, and N. And A is the maximum value of bomb's timer, B the initial value of bomb's timer, and then C the number of tools. And on the second line I have the number of tools. Now in the tools themselves, note that the sum of n overall is cases is not bounded. Okay, so I want to, for me to do this, the maximum time this would take, if this is the case that I am working at, then initially I have it A is 5, B is 3, right? So yeah, in general terms, yeah, let's go and see. Good start, sir. Okay. In general terms, I would say I have an A and I have B, the initial timer, and I have tools, which is N0, 0 is pretty big, N1, N2, and dot 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 dot. Right. So I know that my timer cannot go above A, and B is the initial time. So what I need is to use my maximum number of tools and to maximize the thing. And to do that, I have to see throughout n how many numbers are lower than A, right? If right, the minimum time at which I can turn on a bomb is 1. When I have only 1 second left, I can use one of the tools, and then the time would be increased by the tools that I use, right? So I have to see if n is less than A, then I will get the full time. And if n is great, the tool I have is greater than a, not greater than a, even if it is equal to a, even then I won't get the full time. I will only get a minus one time from that thing. And yeah, so that is how I am going to do that. If they are less than a, I can just add the tool's value, and if it is not, then I have to see. And then I will add a minus one on this thing. Yep, and this ELP here I will have integer a, b, and m. Like, and I do get them in that order. Yes, a, b, and n. C, n, a, b, and n. And then while n minus minus. Let me also create C. And initially time equal t equals 0. Right now, t equals b, because that is the base time that we are getting, right? And c in c. If c less than a, then I'm going to get the full time plus c. Else, if it is not, then c plus a minus 1. I think that is how it is going to work. And then c out. I only have to give out the time. I think that is cool. CPP, let's see, run. That is cool. We did it. A, Jellyfish, and Undertale. Let's see. A, Jellyfish, and Undertale. Yesterday, when I was doing just the first question in at this 900 level, I thought, shit, this is pretty hard. But I have cruised through 2 questions here, and now I got messed up. Shit. Wrong answer, fifth. Expected this, found this, not even close. Okay. Let me think of the edge cases. Uh, in the fifth number, okay. Let's see. What is the fifth one? First, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Okay, I have 67 of these. And A is pretty big, and this is pretty big. Yes, B is initially lower than A, which makes sense. And then to get the maximum of these, hmm, 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 hmm. hmm. Yes, wait, what is wrong with this code? My answer came out to be smaller, right, than what was expected. Then what was, why is this? Probably the solution is executed with error sign. Integer. Okay, yes, I should do that, right? Int 64. Yes, I should always keep that in mind. Because I think logically there is no error with my solution. But yeah, integer overflow makes sense, does make sense. Give contest today. I don't know how to give a contest, but let's see. It would be actually pretty cool if I were to give contest live on stream and see how everything goes and everything before contest. Should it is about to start division 2. What is division? And it says round. Okay, first let me do my question and then I might join. But okay, the registration closes at this. Now what is division 2? Is it like the tier list? What is the level of div 2 Codeforces competition? Hmm. Designed for less experienced competitive programmers. It is typically features problems that are slightly easier than those, and that uh, and it is aimed at users with rating below 1900. Individuals who don't participate in contests or have a rating below 1900 are usually placed in division 2. Okay, how many divisions in code forces are there in code forces? Four divisions. Okay, how can I see upcoming competitions like Edu calendar, I guess, is the thing place to go. Div 2 competition, and today's 15 we have Div 2 competition. Div 3 competition is on Tuesday, and I do not have to go on any place on Tuesday, so I think I will join this one, Div 3 competition. Uh, how how hard? No, no, no. What is the level of Div 3 competition on core courses? What is it? It is designed for people below 1600. I think that is what I will join. Yeah, I do not have anything to lose, so yeah, that is what I will join on Tuesday. But it starts at 8 p.m., which is at night, so I won't be able to stream that or maybe even join it. Okay, this is the only competition that is happening in the morning, like in during the day. One, and how can I see the next month like this? July. Okay, they usually happen at night. Yeah, I'll join this one to have at least initialize my rating. Div 4 is weak, Div 1 is strongest. Check off trackers to see level of problems. Check off trackers to see level of problems. Trackers like trackers which I see here, I guess. Yeah, I will be joining the competition on Tuesday. Today is Sunday, so Tuesday will be the day, right? And now moving on to make it 0. Yeah, during this is the normal 100% size, and if someone is watching, can you tell? C crafter, C C tracker, CF tracker, uh, tracker. Okay, it is deployed on Netlify. Cool. Division 1, Division 2, Codeforces tracker, additional con. Okay, what am I looking at here? These make it permutation. These are questions, it seems. Make it beautiful. I think I've done this one. Make it beautiful. Yeah. Uh, no, maybe I did A. Make it beautiful. Okay. Okay. A, B, C, D. They mean something. A, B, C, D. What does this A, B, C, D, E, F mean? Can you tell me what is this A, B, C, D? I've seen A, B, C, D in front of all of these questions. Some have A, some have B, some have C. What is that? And then, okay, what am I even looking at? CF, need more array, search by contest ID. I do not understand what I am looking at right now. These are questions. Okay. And stats handle. A is the lowest rated, E is the highest rated. Okay, to increase my rating. It is rating wise increasing. Okay. Okay, so this is like questions for practice which I can solve, right? if I'm joining a Division 3 competition, then these are the questions that I might see. I guess that is the thing. And to increase my rating the highest, I should do H questions. And if I do the questions with level A, then my rating will increase the lowest amount that it will. And it is also written here. This is 800, this is 900, and yeah, rating keeps increasing. So do I get all of these? Wait, if it is a Division 1 competition, then why am I seeing questions I'm not? Okay, there are A rating questions also. Or is it just the questions with color that I will be seeing that I can expect to see there? Because in Division 4, they seem to be the same. It is questions from CF only, and it's in neat format with rating listed below questions. Did you complete your bachelor? Like, what major are you? I am in my second year, B.Tech from AIML branch. A row contains a contest. Okay, shit. So in a contest, we only get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 8 questions in one contest. That is lower than I expected. I thought there were like 10 to 15 questions. Okay, so in every contest, I get 7 to 8 questions from different ABCD ratings. And if I do a question, then my rating would increase lower. And if I do a H question, then the increase in my rating would be higher. Okay, shit. And this CF and number, this is the contest in which these questions appeared. That does make sense. That does make sense. Yep. And I will be joining the competition on Tuesday at 8:05. That is cool. And now I'll continue with this. Yes, but questions are difficult. Even LGM can't solve all questions from a division 1 contest. Who is LGM? Let's get married. Codeforces. Legendary Grandmaster. Is it LGM? What is the full form? Is it Legendary Grandmaster? If it is, then that is pretty cool. See, Legendary Grand. No, there is nothing legendary. Expert Master and as a master. Okay. As many of you have predicted the mission to reach red in 6 months and LGM in 12 was as ambitious as it was. Okay, so they do not. What is LGM in coding? Learned greedy method in code forces. Congratulations to the LGM code force. Congratulations to the new youngest LGM. Okay. What is uh, K search tourist on CF? Okay, and see his rating graph. Tourist on CF. Code Forces tourist. Shit, I think I've seen this guy, this YouTube video. Yeah, I have seen him somewhere. That is exponential growth. This is the number of questions that he has done, and this is his rating increase, which is over 3,000 currently. That is fucked up. He has done 2,800 questions. That is not a lot of questions for all time, and in this year, the last year he did 308 questions and 18 problems this month. And okay, that is cool. Legendary Grandmaster, that is the full form. Legendary Grandmaster. But the questions are difficult. Search tourist. LGM is Legendary Grandmaster. It's newbie, pupil. Okay, newbie, which I am, pupil, specialist, expert, pupil, specialist, expert, candidate, master, master, and IM, international master, grandmaster, IGM, international grandmaster, and legendary grandmaster. India doesn't have LGM. Shit, that is sad. India doesn't have an LGM. That is pretty sad. I guess mm, someone will be there. And now, back to solving questions. During Zhongkao's examination, Ray Clover met an interesting problem, but he cannot come up with a solution immediately. Time is running out. Please help him. Initially, you are given an array A consisting of n, which is greater than 2, integers. You want to change all elements in it 0. In one operation, you select two indices, I left and right, and do the following operations. What do I do? We increase the size a bit. What do I do? Set s equals al, and okay, I take the XOR of all the elements where this denotes bitwise XOR. Then for all this, all the elements, all I between and including L and R, replace AI with S. Okay, replace AI with S. Okay, shit. Okay, so if I were to take XOR of two same elements, then it will become equal to 0. Right, that makes sense. And my end goal is to make all the elements equal to 0. Right, right. And it would be, do I really need to know what A is? In this case, it N is at least 2. That is cool. Left and right, I have to use left and right. The first line is this, the second line is N, and then the third line I have the array itself. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. This is going to be my approach. Int N and Cn to N, and then a vector. Okay, I guess I can take. I don't think I will have the need to store the things. While N minus minus C into C, and C is this thing. Okay. Mm, to make this OR equal to, I can first of all change the whole array into one thing, and then I have to take XOR of all these elements, and if n is equal to 0, if n is even, then I am cool. And what do I have to output? Wait, what the heck? L and R. For each case, find a sequence of operations such that after performing the operation in order, all elements in A are equal to 0. It can be proven that the solution always exists. Okay, for each test case in the first line, output a single integer k, which can be at most 8. Don't think I would have the need to go up to 8. The number of operations you use, then print k lines in ith line output two integers li and ri, not representing that you selected li and ri in the ith operation. Note that you do not have to minimize k. If there are multiple solutions, you may output any of them. Okay, k is my own, and I guess this is the a thing, and I guess if this was harder to, if it was at a higher rating, it would be to find the minimal k. If n is even, then at most I would need two operations. I can first take L equal to 1 and b and r, that is the right limit, equal to n, and in second operation I will do the same thing. So in that case I can just say, check it here, if n remainder by 2 equal to 0, then my answer is simple, right? But else I would have to check a few things. If this is the thing, then I can just see out, no, not this, but first of all 0 with a space. Wait, first of all I have to out k, which is 2 and a new line, and then 0, and the next thing is going to be n, and then a new line, or maybe a string with a new line, and then not 0 but 1, since it is 1 indexed. Then go back there. Tourist was the name of the guy who told me, and then in here this would also be equal to n, and then a new line again, right? And otherwise, if this is not the case, then we would have, what can we do? If n is not this, then if n is odd, in that case I can take, if n is odd, then I have to find out make that equal to 0, make that other part also equal to 0, and I will have one element remaining, one number remaining, and that is the problem. That one remaining number, if the parity of n is odd, then what can I do with the remaining number? What ideally I would want is to keep n. Can I always keep that number to the end? Nope, it would be static. No. To make the whole thing equal to, right, I can break up the whole array. I can break up the whole array into right now, shit. Zor, it is Zor, right? Yep. Mm. Hmm. Shit. Viewership dropped like crazy at one point. I don't get this. If n is even, then we are good to go. And n is not guaranteed to be even. It is at least 2, but at most it can be anything. Let's see. In this case, here n is even, so I'll be taking XOR of all these numbers, and then again the XOR of all these. Here n is even, here n is even, but here n is odd, and here n is odd. If it is odd, then fuck. If it is odd, shit. Wait. Here it is 0, so 0 does not actually count, and here also it is 0, so actually there are just six six elements in this, which is even, and in here 0 is there, so 0 actually does not count, and 3 is even, right? So if it is odd and I have at least 1 0, then also we are good, right? Right, then also we are good, and I can just work with the same thing. In this, if I were to output 1, 2, and 3. Wait, if taking XOR with 0 would mean that I'm flipping over the thing. XOR, 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 flipping over the thing. Shit, taking XOR with 0 would mean making all the ones equal to, all the ones will remain 1 and all the zeros will remain 0. Yeah, taking XOR with 0 does not change the thing. So we are good to go. And right, if n is odd, then I can check for 0 and output the same thing that I'm outputting in here. So do I look for 0? If c equal to 0 at any point, then I can just output what I outputted here. Copy, paste, right. If c is 0 at any point, then I can just do this. And then only once, not every time. This code will pass what I have written. But right, even if this is true, then also I have to go through the while loop to take out all the n. Yep. So let me keep a counter. Or a like a variable which will say solve. Is it solved or not? Right. After this, it is solved. Right. Let me just run the while loop no matter what, and then after running the while loop, I'll look for this thing and put solve equal to 1. Initially, it will be equal to 0. Right. After this, if c equal to 0 and not sol, that is sol is also 0. Then do this, but after this it will only run once, right? Makes sense. Right, right. uh X, and check for this, and also not sol. I think this will work, but shit, this didn't work. Okay, it is not matching. That is cool. That is fine. That is just fine. But yeah, the edge case is if I have odd numbers here, but I do not have a 0 in here, then there is problem. Mm, if that is the case, then this thing would not work. Then giving out 1 and then giving out the last index would not work. Let's see. They are saying that the case can be made that this is true all the time. So let's see. Make it a 0. Make it a 0. Let's go and submit it and see what the problem is. Make it a 0, submit, and it is NQ running on test 1 and wrong answer on test 1 itself. That is crazy wrong answer. Ri equals 0 and let's range 1 to 4. I want name Ri equals 0. Am I outputting 0? 1 0 1. Hey, what the? Oh shit. Yes, 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 yes. Instead of n, I will take in um let's say s for size. S equals n. And my friend is calling me. That is fine. S equals n, and in here replace this with n, and replace this with s, right? And here also do the same thing. Replace with s, replace with s, and replace with s. And now, yep, now it should work because n was changing, so my answer got messed up because of that. Now let's see. Submit, and it should not work. Wrong answer on test one. That is fucked up. Again, fucked up. Either then I missed yesterday's stream. That is completely fine. I mean, you are not obliged. You are not like wanted. You are wanted, but uh, you are not forced or expected in any way. Wrong answer. A 1 is not equal to 0 after performing the operations. Test case 2. That is in this. Why? It says 1818. Okay. After doing this whole operation, whatever it is, I should have whatever it is. This is the main thing that my theory relies on is that if n is even, then after performing the operation on all the elements starting from the first till the last, then I will replace all the elements with whatever their XOR was, and then taking the XOR of one element over and over even number of times results in 0, right? Because it would have 0 on the same place, and 0 0 would make 0, and 1 1 would make 1 would make 0. That is my hypothesis there. Mm, yes, and then replace all these elements between this with s, and s does include the first and the left and the right element, and for all of these AI replace it with s bitwise or shit even. Mm, this should work. This should be working. It says that it is not working in this case. Let's see this one case particularly. Right, XOR of these numbers. Let's see. Shit. 3114. That is the value of y. Shit. 3 1 4 1 5 9 2 6, and go there. 3 in binary. I will be using 4 bits because I have 9 which I have to include. So this would be 0 0 1 1, and 1 would be 0 0 0 1, and 4 would be 0 1 0 0, and 1 would again be 0 0 0 1, and 5 would be 0 1 0 1, and 9 would be, just add 4 to 5, 9 or 9 be 0 0 1, right? 8 plus 1, and then 0 0 1 0, and then for 6 I have plus 2 plus 4 0 1 1 0, right? And if I were to take XOR of all of these, XOR of these two would be 0 0 1 0. Okay, 0 0 1 0, 0 0 1 0, then I have 0 0 0 1 1 0 0 1 1 0, right? 0 1 1 1. Okay, 0 1 1 1, that is what I have. And 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 0, Now that is what I have. 0 0 1 0. Now I have 0 0 1 0 1 0 0 1 0 and 1 0 1 0 0 1. So now I have 1 0 1 1, right? 1 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 1. So now I have 1 0 0 1, and at the end I have 1 1 1 1, and that will populate the whole thing. In the end I will have 1 1 1 1. And if I were to take XOR of this thing 8 times, that will result in 0. Like XOR of this thing here, 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 every number becomes equal to this number. And after this, XOR of these two will be equal to 0, then XOR of these two will be equal to 0, and then XOR of these two will be equal to 0, and then XOR of these two will be equal to 0, and XOR of all of these will be equal to 0. 0 XOR is 0. 0 XOR is 0, so my theory does work, but why is this saying that it does not? Let me submit it again, the same thing, and see. You have submitted exactly the same code as before. Yes, that is intentional. 314. The answer is this. I I outputted. Let me take a few seconds. Click, click. Jury's answer. Participants output, right? And first, A1 performed test case 2 is this, right? And jury's answer for test case 2 is 2, and that is 1 8. And participant, me, answer is this. What the heck? Why am I outputting 1 5 in this? Hey, am I outputting 1 5 in this? Run this, and first is 1 4 1 4 2 1 5. Shit, I am actually outputting 1 5 1 5. Why am I outputting 5 in this case? Right, after this, if not solution, and which is the case, I do not go to solution thing. Resolution, make it 0. I do not go to up to 1 and s, and then 1 and s. And why is s equal to 5? S should be equal to, what the fuck is the problem here? C equal 0 and not solve into this, otherwise do this. I can, maybe this should not cause any problem, because s is something that I am not changing throughout. It is equal to n from the start. I don't have to get into all of this if this is the case. If this and not solve, and I can do solve equal to 1. Yeah. And if this here, uh, I do not have to check for solve here. Sol 1 equal to 0. Yes. Right. The answer would be wrong, but it is 1 8 now. It is 1 8 now. That is cool. It is 1 8 now. Why was it 1 5 before? That was horrible. Make it 0 and submit. I hope it works. Solution. It messed up in the first test case itself. Test case 5. Okay. I gave 1, 2, 3. That is the answer, actual answer. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I gave 1, 5, 1, 5. In test case 5, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5. 1, 5, 1, 5 does work. Wrong answer. A6 is not equal to 0 after performing the operation. Is it A6? What is it talking about? 1515, and when all the things, all the numbers are equal to 0, and so being resolved with 0 any number of times is 0, right? Shit. Yeah, I have 0 here. Fifth case, and this is the first, second, third, fourth, and fourth. In fourth, I do not do any operations. This is the fourth case. Okay. Okay. This is the fourth case. In the fourth case, the initial array contains only 0, so we do not need to perform any operations with this. But that is not guaranteed. I can do any number of operations, and this thing says that I am wrong due to some shit. Is Codeforces down? No. Refresh. The competition is started, which was there. Let's see over there. Nah, it is working. Cool. It's been 1 hour, 16 minutes, and I have only done 3 questions. Click. Let's see for check answer 6 does not mean equal. Okay. Verdict. Verdict. They have a verdict. Participants' answer is this. Jury's answer is this. Okay, they have a criminal case against me now. Test case 5. Wrong answer. A6 is not equal to 0 after performing the operations. Test case 5. What does it say? A6 there. This is the same thing. This is the same thing. Wrong answer. A6. My bad. Test case 5. This is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth in this. Okay, 7. And why am I outputting 1515 there? Why am I outputting 1515 there? Why am I outputting in this case 1515? Right? This is the jury's answer, and this is the participant's answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shit, why the heck am I outputting 1515 here? And at which position is this? Is the 0 at? It is at the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth position. The 0 is at the fifth position. So at that point, n should be equal to 2, but s is equal to 5 due to some reason. Why the heck is s changing? I'm not doing anything to s. I'm literally not touching s. Why does s feel unsafe with me? Mm. Shit. While n minus minus, and s is something that I'm not changing, but its value is changing due to some reason. N, C, sol, and S. and I'm taking in n, and then I am making s equal to n, and yeah, that is what I'm doing. I am going through the whole n after this thing. So why the heck is n changing? That does not make any sense. Right? Because here I have this, and I'm taking in all these numbers n number of times, c in n number of times. Right, right, right. Is it because of the fact that I am taking in c in before? Hmm. Okay, if this equal to this, right, then let me put sol equal to 1. And now at the end, wait, since they're saying that there is going to be a solution, all of these, I do not even have to check for this. If my intuition is correct, I do not care for solve. I can just give this same answer every time. Shit, shit. This actually does make sense. Does it? Yes, it does. It does. It does. Shit, this should not be allowed. Find s, replace with n, and replace with n, and I don't even have to care for this thing. And just put it here. Shit, shit, shit. This is totally wrong. If there are no zeros, then this is messed up. This is totally wrong. A, make it a zero. Let's see. It is in Q, and wrong answer on test case 1. Above a home. Why? Because I'm doing it on the second one. Right, right. Let me do it now, and let's see now. To the file, make it 0, and after this, I will move on to the next problem because I do not want to waste this much time on a single problem. Wrong answer on test case 1. Let's see which case exactly. Test case 5. My output is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 7, and it should work. 1, 7, right? Starting from the first and going until the 7th. This should work. 7th, this, and then this. Yeah. Oh shit. Yes, this won't work. Yes, because I have a 0 in the middle. Right. Instead of this, I have to see. I have to keep track of where the 0 is. Right. Let's call it I, and if c equals 0, then I equals n. Let's do that. And instead of this, I want a variable to go up to n. I equals n. Okay, I know that this is here, here, and okay, I equals n. So if I have 0, let's say the second position, and I have total 5 positions. So when I get that 0, my I should be equal to 3. Initially n was 2, and when I got the first position, n got decreased by 1, it became equal to 4, and then when I got the second one, it got decreased again by 1, so it became equal to 2. So to get the index, to translate it and get the index, I would have to do is take the initial value of n, subtract I from that, and that would be 5 minus 3, which would be equal to 2, and which is the index on this thing. And one more point if 0 is at a ending position. If it is, then there would be no solution, right? But that is not what we are dealing with. If, yeah, just keep track of this. And also I would need to get my s back, which is initially s equals n. I am not changing that s. Right, after this we'll only do this if even if s remainder 2 equals 0, that is if s is even. If s is even, then do that, and else if s is not even, then if s is not even, I have the index of 0 there, and what I would like to do is output go from 1 to the ith index up to n. That would be my first operation. To convert this, it would take 4 operations to convert all the numbers before the 0 appeared into a 0, and all the elements after the 0 into 0, and yeah, we are done. 4 steps. C out 4 4 and then new line. And after that I have 4 steps. The first one would be starting from 1 at space and going up to s minus I. S minus I, right? Yes, see, s minus I minus 1 up to that, but not including that number, right? I minus 1 and then space, not a space, new line, 1, not 1, but yeah, not 1, but s minus I is the position of r0 plus 1, so that after 0 a space and s and then a new line. This makes more sense than other things. Yeah, and I think this is going to work. Let's see, make it 0. I missed you. Okay, wrong on test 1. That is horrible. And test case 1. Yeah, what the heck? Why is s? My bad. Replace this with n. Replace this with s. Now we should be good to go. This submit. I think we should be good to go. I can see my like where this breaks. This does break on test case 4 due to some reason. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, of course. Fuck. Yes, of course. There have to be 4 operations, right? Right. 4 operations. First is this, and this same thing again. Right. We starting from this, copy this whole thing, and go to the new line, paste it there, right? And this is starting from this, right? This all goes here, right? And again once more, right? And right. This makes sense. Yeah, this does make sense. I get 0, submit. Es funktioniert nicht. Let's see, it broke on test 4, Y1414, and 6565, that is horrible. Y in test case 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is test case 4, and we have 0 at the end, and it broke. Yeah, it should break in that case. It should break in that case. What can I do to fix this thing? I want 0 to be like somewhere in the middle. But if 0 is at the end or someplace, then I won't be able to do it. So the problem is that this index, I'm subtracting 1 from this index, which might not always be available to me, right? I'm supposing that there are elements, even number of elements before the 0 and after the 0. So instead of this, in that case, I equals s minus I, right? And if I greater than 1, that is, I have some elements before the 0, then we are cool, right? And else here we do not have any elements before. And now in both the cases, I will check if I less than n, less than s. Yes, makes sense. And also, else should I do have 4 possibilities here now. If I less than s, and here I'm doing the same thing again, but this won't run if I'm already in the first one, right? And if this is true, then I have things both before and after, then this should be the solution. And if not, that is, I do not have elements at the end, then I'll have 2 moves to convert the elements before this thing into 0. Before this, yes, before this into 0, before the 0 into 0. And that would include C out, starting from first, space, and then next comes I minus 1, and then a new line, and then that same step again, right? But if I, in this case, I do not have any elements before the string, but I do have elements after the string. I is less than this, so since I have elements after the string, I can make the first index equal to si plus 1, which is I plus 1, right? And the end is s, and before that there has to be a space, there has to be some space in the middle. That does work. And else, if 0 is the only element, then see out in this very rare case with 0. And I hope this works. It works this time. Let's see, choose file, make it 0, submit, and if it does not work, I will move on to another problem. It is running, and I think it is going to break. I don't know. Yeah, fuck. Okay, let's move on to this longest divisor multiple, longest divisors interval. Okay, given a positive integer n, find the maximum size of an interval LR of positive integers such that for every I in the interval that is between L and R and equal to L and R, n is a multiple of I. Shit. N is a multiple of I. Wait, but I is changing. For given an given given a positive integer and find the maximum size of an interval LR of positive integers such that for every I in the interval, okay, I is in the interval, N is a multiple of I, the maximum. Hmm. Hmm. Given two integers L and R, the size of the interval is going to be L R minus L plus 1, and that is it coincides with the number of integers belonging to that interval. First input is T, and the second I have only N. Right. Right. I have to find the maximum size. Yeah, starting from the one. One is going to be in the smaller number that I have, the better my chances are. Right. This one is easier. This one is easier. This seems easier. The only thing is that I have to start from the start. Int n and c in n, and after that, this c, which is initially equal to not 0 but 1, and I will then start my loop. Right. While n remainder with whatever c is equals 0. What will I do? I will make c plus plus. Right, and if it is true, then I will get to 2. Right, and at the end I have to output yes. If c minus 1 is what I have to output. Right, uh, c minus 1 with a new line. That seems about right. 'Cause let's say I have 6, n is 6, then initially c is equal to 1, and so this condition is true. C increases, c becomes equal to 2, and then in this case I see that 6 is also divisible by 2, then c increases and becomes 3. Then I see that 3 is also divisible by 6 is also divisible by 3, then n increases and becomes 4. But at 4, the thing is broken, and the correct answer is there. Let's see. Wrong answer at some or all the points. Shit, fuck. Why? I am increasing it. If n remainder c equals 0, that is, it is divisible. Mm, a valid interval. Shit. How do I find this interval? Um, shit. Maybe I can factorize the whole thing into prime numbers and then work with that. Shit. In seventh case. Shit. Seventh case is horrible. Look at it. The maximum interval. That is the problem. That I have to find the maximum interval. Shit. How do I find the maximum interval? Mm, hmm. Shit. Today's stream is going horrible. I'm unable to solve these questions. How do I find the maximum interval? I have a number that is pretty big and called n, and then after getting n, I have to find an interval between which every number is a multiple of n, right? N is a multiple of I. That is, if I were to divide n with any of the numbers between my interval, the answer would be I should get 0 as a remainder. It should completely divide n. Shit, let me read it in Russian, that might help. Mm, doesn't help. Mm, shit. One thing would be to factorize n into smaller things, and then in there look for patterns. I think I'm going about it the completely wrong way. Yes, everything is working well. Hmm. I have n. Shit. I have n, and then shit. Shit. In this, the answer is 2 in this huge ass number. Cause I think in this, its only prime factors are 2 and 5. So the biggest interval would be 1 and 2. 1, 2. L would be 1 and right would be 2. But in this, we are messed up. And let me change this to int 64. We also have some very huge numbers. Shit, it is matching now. Wait, okay. Wait, how is it matching now? Shit, it is called B longest divisors. B, no, no. B longest divisor CPP, the CPP file. How is it matching now? Running on test 7. Wait, it is still running and it does not seem to be wrong. Wait, what? How did it got accepted? Uh, how did it got accepted? Huh? Huh? Wait, how did it got? Because in here they say for a valid interval with maximum size is this. This is one of the valid intervals, and let me think of a number. What if a number like the multiple of 11? Do I have twin primes? Let me see. 15, no, 25, 24, 25, 26. So this is due to some subtle maths that should be able to figure out. Let me see. Why? Because I do not think that this solution that I have given should work. Okay. I do not think this should work. Let me use ChatGPT for this. In this, I have to figure out the max, figure out an array of continuous numbers in which all the numbers are factors of the n put n, and my algorithm is to start from the start and then go further till I find a number which is not a multiple of this number. Shit. At the end, there will be prime numbers at the bottom of any number that n is, and the maximum amount of continuous prime numbers are at the start. I think that is the reason, which is not a multiple of, and then I go further till I find a number which is not a multiple of n, and then I output output the amount of numbers starting from 1 that are and that are factors of n. And okay, there are factors of n. You're very close, but there is a misunderstanding in your explanation and a minor flaw in your logic. Let's see step by step your goal to figure out this. 5 is not a factor, so for 12 I will get the answer this. Okay, while exactly C++ if right, but your code is doing this while all numbers are factors of input n, right, which means you are checking that C is a factor. Your code does this. Start with C1 while and I don't want conceptual. Okay, my code works, but the part that I want clarification with is that when I am beginning from 1, uh, fact that beginning from 1 is the right choice, because at the end I have to find the prime factors of n, and at the end I have to find the prime factors of n then put and then find the longest continuous array among them, and starting from 1 does work because the most amount of prime numbers are at the start. Right, I think that is the reason you're getting to real problem. You want to know this, and your code that is not solving that problem. It works in a very specific and limited case only for your real goal. Let's be precise and dissect what is going clarifying the goal. I have a very shallow understanding of this of the method. Well, anyway, it is done, so let's move on. Comparison, longest divisor, balanced round is the next one. Balanced round. You are the author of Codeforces round and have that is D. It is supposed to be a hard one, I guess, or the one in which my rating will increase the most if I were to do it. You are the author of Codeforces round and have prepared n problems. You are going to set problem I, having difficulty AI. You will do the following process: remove some, possibly zero, problems from the list. Rearrange the remaining problems in any order you wish. Okay, a round is considered balanced if and only if, that is I with if with a double F, only if absolute difference between the difficulty of any two consecutive problems is at most k lesser or equal than k, lesser or equal than k. What is the minimum number of problems you have to remove so that the arrangement problems is balanced? That is doable. First of all, sort them. T, yes, first is n, and then the next is k, and then the array. Okay, and this is going to be the last question for the day. Click on this thing. This is going to be the last boilerplate int n and k, and then cin n and k, and then would I, yep, I will need to store it, vector int a, right, and while n minus minus, and also a c here, c into c, and a dot push back c, and after that a dot sort, a dot begin, a dot end. Now a is sorted, and yes, I need to go through and see it said what is the minimum number of problems you have to remove. Okay, the minimum number of times that I have to do an operation. You can just I have to remove every element that is where the difference is greater than k. Right. So while not while I wanted for loop for int I equals 0 and I less than a dot size. Let's keep it from the start, and as equals n and 10, while this is this and I plus plus. What am I supposed to do? And now this s minus 1, I do not want you to go till the last one, and end d is diff and nothing else, and a I plus 1 minus a I. Now if d greater than, it can be equal to k, right? It cannot be greater than k. Is less than or equal to k, then we are good. At most k, yeah, it can be k. If it is greater than k, then we have ourselves a difficulty, right? Yes. What is it? Okay, let's say OP is the amount of operations that we have performed. And first of all, OP increased by 1, and second of all, OP is initialized at 0, and third of all, if this is the case, then I will have to change the current one and the next one. Yeah, I'm doing this, then minimum is the main thing, right? Minimum, right, if their difference is 1, either I must remove at least one of them, and I have to remove them in a way which does not cause me problems. Well, I know that the last one is smaller than this one right here, so if I remove this, then this would cause a problem. So I remove this, and shit, the next one is even bigger than this, so the difference would still be big. So fuck. Yeah, shit. Difference would be still bigger, and since this is lower, shit, I would have to rearrange them in a sophisticated way. Shit. If I do encounter something like this, then removing, I would have to remove all the elements starting from this, right? Yes, I would have to remove all the elements because it does not make any sense otherwise. C out, fuck, S is the total number of elements, and if I am at ith element and till I ai minus 1 was pretty good, and so I have to remove all the elements from here to the end. So s minus I minus 1 because I is 0 index and s is not, and then a new line and nothing else. That is all I have to output. That is all I have to output. Fuck. Yep, that is all that I have to output. S minus I minus 1. That should be cool. Let's test, and wrong answer, and literally all of them. Why? Shit, I went even further than that. Shit. Cn, A push, N and K are the inputs first, right? And then go N times. And what is the order that I'm getting this input? First I'm getting N and then I'm getting K. And that is the way in which I'm taking them in. Then I'm taking A, then I'm sorting A, and then things are happening. So if I am at, let's say, index, if I were to sort this thing, this which is already sorted, and N and K, wait, what? N is 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, it is 5, right? And K is 1, it can be equal to K, but not greater than K. So this, since this is sorted, answer is 2 for this. Why? I can, wait, what? Why is it 2? For the first one, why is it 2? How can it be 2? N is the first one, right? And K. Shit. Makes sense. I can remove the first two. That also makes fucking sense. That also makes sense, right? Shit, that makes sense. I guess in most of the cases, that is the answer. Either I can remove the ones from the start in which I know that the thing holds, or I remove all the ones towards the end. Right, right. Makes sense. So, yeah. Right, that makes sense. So, two cases, either I remove all the elements in the start from 0 till I, or I remove all the elements from I till n. That makes sense, but right, in this case, I am doing this. But if this is true, but if I see if I is greater than or equal to s divided by 2, right, that is, wait, if I is less than s divided by 2, that is, I have more than half the elements remaining. If I is less than this, then I would have to look how to do things in a different way. Otherwise, this is true. Right, if I is small, then I would have to check for the remaining ones. Right. Let me make another integer c, which is initially 0, and wait, I do have c already. My bad. C equals 0. C is like cut. C means cut in my head. And right, if this thing happens, C equals I. C equals I, and hmm, hmm. C does equals I, and at the end of the loop, hmm, C equals I. So I know that up until C, when this loop ends, I know that up until C, things have been amazing. But after that, I'll have to see. Right, so after this, the loop will run inside. And I less than S minus 1 and I plus plus. That is the thing. And yeah, in there I'll do I plus plus so that I start from the next position and I'll do this D for diff. I have the diff, and if diff at any point becomes greater than k, then it is messed up. Then if it is greater than k at any point, then I know that I have to output till I, and otherwise, right, right. If k d is greater than k at any point after the breaking point, then I know that I have to output I from the start. But if there is, okay, there are these breaking points throughout the sorted array in which the match does not match. But yeah, and between these breaking points, there might be a point in which it does match. Right, so instead of C, I need to have, let's, a vector, another vector of integer, and I will call it BR, which means breaking point. And if, and whenever I see something like this, right, whenever I see something like this, what I will do is this BR dot pushback I, and at the end, what I will do is the biggest difference is the thing that I will output. I have to do the minimum number of operations, right? So minimum number of operations would mean that I keep the biggest difference to myself and output and remove all the remaining ones. And in this case, the breaking point would be at 0, 1, at 1. And so to get started, I would see that initially there is 0. 0 minus 1 is 1, and 1 minus 5 is 4. 1 is this, so k 0 minus 1 plus 1 is okay. And okay. Initially we are dot pushback, initially it has 0, the first index, and at the end it will have vr dot pushback s minus 1, the last index. And I can just do next index minus this index for int I equals 0, I less than vr dot size and I plus plus. This is a very horrible way that I'm doing things. Int d equals difference, and also I would have to keep track of max difference, max d, which is initially equal to br, which is initially equal to s, right? Yes, and that is cool. And max d equals initially the next one, which is br bracket I plus 1 minus br I and size minus 1. And now max, first stop in, max equals max, is max less than d. If it is, then I'll take d, otherwise I'll take max. And then at the end, what I have to output is right. See out. There has to be a little bit of maths here, which is n minus. Wait, this is not max. Max is this, yes. And then d is this thing plus 1, right? And max is the maximum amount of numbers that I can keep. So n minus max. Hmm. I hope it runs. Nope, it doesn't. And that is horrible. Shit. A new line. And I guess equally horrible. Yes, equally horrible. Why is it like this? I plus 1 minus I plus 1. Shit. We are to push back I. That is what I am pushing back into I. Let me turn on the fan. I'll be right back. No, I'm back. We can begin. This is what I have, and this should have worked because I have yeah, BR is also in ascending order since I is increasing from I to S minus 1, right? And initially the first index is 0, then it is at the end it is S minus 1 because that is it index. That is what I'm working at with. So if I were to go with this one, uh, here, initially SBR would have 0, and then it would have 0, 1, and then it would have 2, 3, nothing. Then it would have exactly S minus 1, that is 4. So 0, 1, 4, right? 0, 1, 4. And initially max equal to 5. And then I will see if is D less than shit. N is this has to be S and max. What am I actually looking at here? Shit, max has to be equal to 0. Max initially is equal to 0, and if D is greater, D would never be greater than max if it is starting at that number. And wrong answer. Why? First one says 1, mine says 1, then 4, 3, 2. Okay, I think there is a common problem. Yeah. So in the first case, it would be 0, 1, and 4. And max is initially 0. So 0 minus 1 is 0 minus 1 plus 1 is 2. And 4 minus 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. Which is greater? So 4, right? And so 4 is the number of elements that I output. Yes, it does output 4. Wait, why does it output 4? From 0 minus 1. And then, oh, the next one minus this one. Right. I'm not excluding. Yeah. 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 Right. That makes sense. So I have to start with shit. In that case, remove this, and max is initially equal to BR bracket 0, and we are going to start BR from 1, not bracket 0 plus 1, and then we can remove 1 from here, and max will start from 1, yeah, or from whatever the first thing is. Yeah, first thing in this case would be 1, and 1 minus the next index, which is going to be x minus 1, that is 4. So 1 minus 4 is 3, and that does make sense. And correct answer. Yep, it is called up D, balanced round. Choose D, balanced round. Submit. Let's go. It might not be accepted. It is still running and it is accepted. Yeah, cool. And let me do refresh. The people are watching the stream, but they are not commenting or anything. Okay. Okay, these are my 5 questions, and I have done today's work, and that will be the end of the stream for today. Shit, I actually did horrible. Wait, in the leaderboard, I am at 7,800 questions. That is fine. How many people are there in the leaderboard? Maximum people, hurry up, special sale ends. Mm-hmm. This is the top of the leaderboard. My rank is 7,000, and in total, there are 15. Just 50 percentile is nothing. 50 percentile is bad, actually. Hmm. Beginner, check out fast students, level 1, self-paced, level 2. Okay, there are courses. Okay, that would be the end of the stream. Bye. Yeah, that would be the end of the stream, and bye.